The higher your level of avoidance, the lower your levels of life satisfaction and happiness and fulfillment are going to be, hands down.
Your life is messy as hell because you don't know when you're being hijacked and how that's disconnecting you from not only those you love, but like the success that you actually want to have.
Hey everybody, it's Bianca.
Welcome back, Evolve fam. I just want to celebrate the fact that all of y'all are here listening to this episode on our 400th episode of Evolve Ventures podcast.
400.
Let's go. So on that note, it's your girl, Emilia. What's poppin'? I'm super excited for this episode because I am so freaking uncomfortable, and I'm going to lead by example in this episode on a whole nother level that I don't know if I've really leaned into in this podcast per se. But if you've been with us from the start, you've been a long-time lover, long-time listener of Evolve Ventures podcast, formerly the Why Power podcast, you will have known that there are certain things that we just don't talk about. But if you're joining us and you're a new listener, I'll give you a little backstory. So Bianca and I, we started our podcast back in 2020, right? Yeah, 2020.
Month before the pandemic started.
COVID hit.
So we launched this and we started planning this in March of 2020.
Brutal, right? So it's been a journey for sure. And one of the things that Bianca and I just did before this episode, I wanted to, part of me, all right, gotta admit it, part of me wanted to not bring this at all into this episode. Part of me wanted to completely avoid sharing this because I am really good at that. One of my biggest things, out of fear of looking like an arrogant prick, is actually communicating the level of success and achievement that we've had. And I always thought that that would disconnect me from other people, when in reality, I just want to help people. And I know that Evolve Ventures is so uniquely suited to really support and help people in a really meaningful, beautiful way. And the mission that we have, we take that very seriously. And so I say, if you're a longtime listener, you will have picked up on this. But in terms of our accomplishments, right, the two women that are sitting in front of you that are speaking into your life, and we're so grateful for that, we are not people that brag. We really don't. And that has been something that we have consciously and unconsciously avoided. And what I had looked up before this podcast episode recording was genuinely out of sheer curiosity, because Bianca and I were like, it's 400 episodes in. And there's a part of me that's like, yay. There's another part of me like, let's keep going on with life, right? Like, if we just sit here and celebrate and twiddle left the whole time, nothing's going to get done. But, you got to have a little bit of celebration. So
you gotta balance it out.
You got to balance. Yeah. I'm a Libra by nature, so you got to balance it, right? But sometimes that always doesn't happen. Anywho, I go and do some research because a part of me is like super curious. I'm like, I wonder, okay, 400 episodes. I wonder how many people have reached the 400 episode mark. And again, I'm sharing this story because the way in which avoidance is ruining your life, dear listener, it will show up in a very nuanced way, but the principles that we're going to talk about are very much the same. So by the time you scroll away, click away, whatever, go about your life after this episode, you will walk away with an understanding of the different types of avoidance and how that is showing up in your life. Because this is what happened right before this episode with us. I was curious about where we are at in statistical comparison, Bianca and I, as two female leads, two empowered, beautiful, educated women who work their cute little tails off. How statistically rare really are we, right? Because it could be very easy. The feeling that I wanted to avoid was feeling pride and feeling really good about what it is that we do. I know it doesn't make sense. Maybe. I don't know. We'll get into that later. But I wanted to avoid that because I just wanted to carry on and get the thing done that's on the calendar, because that's what we do. And as two women who have started a podcast right in the beginning of COVID, and who had at the time full-time jobs, right? And who have consistently worked more than 40 hours a week per week since then, sometimes even double that, right? Given the total work that we do, plus who consistently are educating and taking courses and taking certifications and going. Bianca got her master's and all these things. Like we're constantly improving ourselves, plus all these things that we do every single day. I wanted to know, okay, I know when it was, back when everyone was shuttled in and COVID hit and everyone was, deciding in their mother to have a podcast, right? That was a cool thing to do. We didn't start that for the same reasons. We wanted to have really powerful, deep conversations that change people's lives, right? And the mission that spurred out of that, the podcast became a vessel to which we were able to do that, to connect with a global audience around the world. And our goal was to make it into the top tiers of podcasting in the industry. And what started as two chicks on a podcast who decided to have deep conversations and who were the outcasts of their social circles, who couldn't hang with the deep conversations that we loved and ate up. What started as that has now grown and evolved into a top 200 podcast. Now, the research that I had done was how statistically rare is it that people like us have reached this level of accomplishment, right? Wanted to avoid that kind of like, shit, what does that actually say? What does that research actually say? And what does that mean about us, right? Cognitively, my brain was like, I don't know if we really want to know what's on the other side of that research, girl. So like, so what I do, I go on research and, let me just share what some of that research came out, because afterwards, Bianca and I were practically crapping our pants. I'm like, I don't know about you, B, but I'm like, holy moly, what does this mean about my life? Existential crisis.
Just for all of your awareness, Emilia is so uncomfortable right now. It's not even funny. And you guys probably wouldn't notice it, but like, Emilia doesn't ever talk about herself. I'm like, I have to pull her teeth out to get her to talk about herself on this show. So she is actively fighting avoidance in this episode where we are talking about avoidance. So just so you guys are aware, Emilia wants to throw up in her mouth right now, and she's actively fighting it.
Actively fighting it. I'm emotionally regulating through this entire thing. And it like, I'm giggling at how hard this is for me. So, so I go, I did some research, like I said. And my plan was to not communicate this on this episode at all. So a little exposure therapy. We love it. The industry rarity, let's just say, for an industry-wide statistic, the podcast that hit 400 episodes without any breaks, right? So Bianca and I have done 400 episodes without any breaks, without any, let's take the summer off. I don't know if we are going to be emotionally okay to have this episode without, I don't know, my life's kind of falling into pieces right now. I need to like, oh, okay, wait a second. I think I have COVID and I might be dying. Like, we have shown up on these mics 400 episodes in a row, and we produced, I think at the start it was just one episode a week, and then we transitioned to 2 episodes a week. So in totality, the industry rarity of that places Evolve Ventures in the top 1 to 2% of long-running podcast shows. So what the research says is that reaching a milestone like this, the number 400, which is why I'm so uncomfortable, it showcases a remarkable level of dedication, of discipline, and of sustaining interest, insatiable curiosity, and commitment to a mission that we decided upon and committed to from not only the podcast host, so you and I, be, and for our listeners, but also for you, for the listeners who have stayed and who have showed up and listened again and again. And I added the production partners that we have. So shout out to NLPS for everyone behind the scenes there that have been just as consistent. But with that, I said, oh shit, top 1 to 2%. Usually a lot of people in any bracket of that tend to get a lot of hate. So what is my emotion? I want to avoid getting any sort of hate, any sort of villainization for being the top 1%ers of podcasters. But then I decided to go, okay, well, wait a second. We are, also women, right? If you kind of add some of the qualifiers in there on top of just not just 400 podcast episodes in a row without taking summers off or breaks or just not feeling like it. What would that statistical rarity number actually come down to if both
of
hosts,
us? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
If both hosts were women. And I didn't even start to specify both women who have full-time jobs, both women who are educated, both women go to school, both women who are in relationships, who have a great relationship, all these quote unquote qualifiers. So I didn't do that. I just strictly decided to go with the thing that I could emotionally handle for right now, which is women. All right. So let me clear my throat. So uncomfortable. Sorry.
I know you're uncomfortable. Listen, this is great. You're gonna be okay.
Guys, in real time, this is fun. All right. I think we got to take this episode down. We should stop. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
All right.
I was like, I don't want to do this. Emilia right now is battling emotional, cognitive, and behavioral avoidance. Just FYI. We're going to dive into what that means, but all three of them, Emilia's hitting it right now, and she's actively fighting against it.
I encourage anyone that's listening to the audio version of this, go on YouTube and look at how uncomfortable I am.
Your face is so red.
I cannot wait to go back and look at this when we're at like 800 and be like, girl, why you stressing?
Shit.
Anywho, that's a whole nother story. So of the stats, right? Let's just pull it in. Women represent about 25 to 30% of podcast creators overall, according to the stats. Okay. So the gender gap is more pronounced, according to the research, in the top performing long running podcasts. So by the way, most podcasts stop at 10 episodes. They quit. They just totally quit. 10 episodes. It used to be 7. Apparently some people got some wind in their sails and kept going. But after 10 episodes, most people quit the mics. Most people realize, I don't know about this thing. They give up. They fail, right? So men tend to dominate both in terms of the number of shows and longevity. So when we break this down, as more women enter into the space, I do hope sharing this really helps people. It inspires that discipline and that commitment to your dreams, to your goals. Because when we look at the actual like rarity of what I'm saying, when we look at 2 women who hit that 400 mark, that statistical rarity puts Bianca and I in the top 0.25 to 0.3% of all podcasters that have ever existed. That alone freaks me the hell out. Because like I said, existential crisis. What does that actually mean? 2 women hosts consistently producing 400 episodes of valuable, not bullshit content where we're talking about the weather and like stupid trends
and other stupid shit.
Sex, glamorous things, like whatever, right? And again, no shame, no game, but like actual valuable, scientifically backed and proven things that help people in the real world. Falling into that range, like what? The conclusion that I'm drawing is like, yeah, this is good, right? Or like, what's gonna happen now? What happens next? If we don't can this podcast, like, am I still gonna be loved? Am I still gonna be valued? What does this mean, right? So the niche that Bianca and I are in are incredibly rare, right? 0.25% is what we represent. Now, when it comes to avoidance, right, everyone has a different area in their life that they're avoiding. The way avoidance is ruining our life is that we are not showing up when we could. The amount of times that Bianca and I have gotten on this episode or gotten on these mics and said, I don't know about the camera, right? The camera keeps glitching. There's audio tech issues. Like the computer's doing something. Like I don't feel good about myself. I feel a little insecure or my hair's looking crazy or whatever this is. Like, I don't know about these new storytelling techniques. Like, I fucking suck at communication. Sorry. But like, I don't know if I should share about this, about my family or this or that. Like, the amount of times that Bianca and I have shown up here and overcome the avoidance, she and I are able to represent that 0.25% of podcasters in our industry, the top performing 2 females. And one day we will dominate when it comes to those stats. I'm naming that now.
Hell yeah, we will. Hell yeah, we will.
As if we aren't already, right? And when we do, it will be because of the fact that we did not avoid. It would be so much easier for me to just share that with Bianca, do a little cute celebration, then jump on these mics and not say anything. Like, that is my go-to strategy. But now with us sharing that, what does that mean? What does that do? So for you, dear listener, what way are you avoiding? And how is that ruining your life? Because the amount of success that Bianca and I will have will be because of what it took to overcome what we want to avoid.
Hey everybody, my name is Matt. I am the Director of Marketing and Communications at a radio station here in Central Massachusetts. I can say it's been nothing but great. Kind of diving into myself and realizing that I need to step out of my comfort zone and build that confidence in my insecurities, but also maintaining who I am as a person. You know, this is a community that's not forcing anything upon you, that wants you to feel nothing but welcome. And it's just super genuine and super honest too, which I like. And again, just recognizing that you are your own person on your own journey, but everybody in the community is here with you. And, you know, we're all at different stages in life, and that's a very important thing to recognize. So Emilia, Bianca, and Derek especially have helped me get to the point where I'm able to kind of excel in my career and in my personal life.
Number one, I'm so proud of you. I know this is
Thanks.
so uncomfortable for you, and I hate talking about yourself because of the amount that you've been villainized in the past, and people hated you for celebrating yourself. So, thank you for being the leader that you are and demonstrating that, because the only reason I've been able to be here on the mics with you 400 times is because of that, who you are. So, thank you. In the last episode, I alluded to the fact that I had looked at my social media in the past, like my archives, my stories, and I don't say this to be mean to myself. I say this to be honest. I showed up like a loser back in the day. I had no motivation, no ambition, no drive, no consistency. The one thing I was consistent at was social media. Fitness. Fitness. Fitness was the one thing that I was consistent at, and it was because it was the one thing I was actually kind of good at.
Good on you, girl.
Thank you. But I wasn't consistent at all. I avoided everything. I avoided hard conversations. I avoided the mirror, like literally. I wouldn't look at myself in the mirror because I hated my own appearance. I avoided anyone and anything that made me uncomfortable. I avoided hard truths. I avoided my emotions like crazy. I wouldn't go to places that made me uncomfortable. I avoided everything. And here we are 7 years later, 0.25% of all podcasters. I never thought that would be a thing for me. You always knew that would be a thing for you. Let's be honest. You probably never would have told anybody, but like, that's always been a possibility for you. That wasn't a possibility for me. The only reason, don't save me. Please don't save me.
I'm not, but what I'm going to say is that it wasn't just a possibility. Like, the level of which I play at, like, if I'm not planning on dominating, I won't get started on it. So it wasn't just a possibility, it's a probability, because I am willing to put in what it takes. And so for you, I appreciate you sharing that contrast, because I know that hasn't been the case for you. And that amazing.
Has never been the case for me.
The fact that you can be where you are today because of your transformation in that.
Well, this is what I'm saying. The only reason I am here where I am today, exactly what we were talking about in the episode previous to this, was I showed up. I showed up. I surrounded myself with really amazing people, thankfully. I didn't, I asked them to be hard on me. I asked them to highlight the things for me that I was avoiding. And when I finally stopped avoiding, so there's 3 types of avoidance. There's behavioral avoidance. So you're literally like you're actively avoiding things. So behavioral avoidance would have been Emilia not telling that story.
Yeah.
There's cognitive avoidance, which is like the mental loops and the patterns that we run of like, should I do this? Should I not? Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. Like Emilia was kind of actively doing that while telling the story of like, ooh, do I want to share this part? Oh, I don't want to share that. Do I want to share this part? And then there's emotional avoidance, which I was the freaking queen of. We're not going to have a hard conversation. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel my emotions. I don't want to feel anything. So me back in the day, I avoided all 3. And it's why my life was so miserable and not fulfilling. And I wasn't successful at anything. And I couldn't do anything consistently to save my life. Every area of my life was drowning because I was avoiding all of these really uncomfortable and these difficult things that I don't avoid anymore. It's still hard. I want to make sure that we're not painting this glamorized picture because that's not fair to anybody. You literally just saw Emilia struggle through this. You just saw her, and that's the only reason we talked about this on the show. Like we don't brag about us because this show isn't about us. This show is about everyone listening to this, and we know that story is valuable because you saw Emilia in real time wanting to avoid talking about this, and you saw her emotionally regulating and challenging her own thoughts mid conversation and surrounding herself with somebody who's going to be able to encourage her like, Em, we're gonna be fine, it's okay to shine, fucking shine and show who you are. These are the things that help you to get to the place that we're at. Like, this is possible. I mean, I don't know if like this specifically is possible because I wasn't capable of this. I'm only able to do this because of Emilia, where we currently are. But like something so much more is possible for you, but it's only going to be possible for you if you navigate the behavioral, the emotional, and the cognitive avoidance that you're having and that's dominating and ruining your life. Take a piece of paper out, and I want you to jot down all of the things that you're finding yourself avoiding. And then I want you to write out why. What are you so afraid of? What are you so scared is going to happen? What's the worst case scenario that's jumping through your head that's probably not true? And then what's one simple step that you can take to take a step forward? For Emilia, it was exposing herself and sitting in the discomfort of sharing what she shared. Now she's at like a level 10, so don't jump to your worst fear, but start at a level 1. For me, back in the day, it was recording videos on my Instagram story. That's how I got started being a speaker. I recorded stories on my Instagram. Actually, even before that, I just recorded them in my phone. I didn't send them to anybody. Then I started sending them to my coach. Then I started posting them. And then this happened. I started doing that before I met Emilia. And then everything expanded from there. So when you give yourself the permission to stop avoiding these things and to slowly build over time, you can get to whatever that goal is that you have and the things that matter to you. Maybe it is being a podcaster. Maybe it is owning a business. Maybe it's having a magnificent relationship. Maybe it's telling your family to go fuck themselves. Like, whatever. There's a lot of our listeners that probably should go do that, but that's another episode. What is the thing that you're avoiding that you can start baby stepping your way into today?
Oh shit. This episode is going to get a big fat E for explicit because we have definitely popped off. But it's good. It's good. Hey, we're coming into our own. We'll rein it in. And we'll do our best to be professionals here, and we'll be people as well, right? We're human beings at the core. We're professionals by conditioning, and we're podcasters for funsies, right? So that is so powerful. For funsies, we're doing it for funsies. Two chicks on the mic, just spewing science. It's all fun. Anywho, with that being said, the baby steps are real. Avoidance is so. You and I did an Out of the Mud event. By the time this episode is actually produced into the ether webs, it will have been a solid couple weeks, 2 weeks or so one of our most popular to date, actually, Out of the Muds that we've done. So our free live virtual event for anyone that's new here, where Bianca and I host this virtual event on the last Wednesday of every single month. And the topic was all around avoidance, where we shared these 3 types: behavioral avoidance, cognitive avoidance, and emotional avoidance. And we went through and we asked the audience, which one is your go-to? Because more often than not, what tends to be the case, and I shared this in Out of the Mud, and I'll share this here to kind of wrap, we are far more apt to be aware of what behaviorally we're avoiding. So be it a task, a project, a conversation, etc. The second most prevalent of our conscious awareness is what emotion we are avoiding. I don't want to feel pain. I don't want to feel discomfort. I don't want to feel disappointment. I don't want to disappoint this person, right? Like I don't want to feel shamed, or I don't want to feel bad about myself. Those are the 2 most prevalent. The cognitive avoidance, though, this is where your automatic negative thoughts just come in all the time, is less we're less aware of what that cognitive avoidance is because our unconscious runs us. And so if you're someone listening to this podcast and you're saying, gee, where is my life? Where am I feeling like my life is being ruined? I would challenge you to, yes, do what Bianca had said, for sure. And in that, looking at those areas of your life, just try to focus simply on either what behavior are you avoiding or what emotion do you not want to feel. Because it is in those 2 that the cognitive avoidance is already happening, right? Like, you saw me in this episode in real time going through it. More often than not, it's not just you're just avoiding an emotion. It's not just isolation in a behavioral component. All 3 of these things are happening at all times. And unless you're attuning towards what your avoidance behavior, emotions, and cognitive capacities are, or tendencies are, they're going to run your life. And that is the thing, between you and I, fighting to go get better and having the courage and the bravery to stare avoidance in the face and say, it is not going to hijack my life. I'm no longer willing to let the whims of my emotions, or these behaviors that aren't serving me, or these thought patterns that just keep looping again and again, telling me I'm not enough, not worthy, not lovable, etc., not wanted. If I just allow this to happen, right, life will go and take you. It will take you on a course, on an adventure that you look back and you have massive regret around. And, it was really interesting during Out of the Mud to kind of hear what some of the audience was saying, but it was almost like, holy shit, I've never really thought about this before. I've never really thought about how this is so normal and what type I might be falling into the most. And more importantly, how I don't have any plan to stop avoiding. I don't even know where to start, is what a lot of our community had really said, which I appreciate the vulnerability and the humility, because anyone that's listening to this podcast episode, you're likely in that boat as well, right? We don't know where to start because we didn't even realize cognitively that that's going on, right? It's just happening in our unconscious mind. And so let's bring the unconscious to our conscious, just like we did and actively participated and showed and demonstrated in real time. Bianca and I will continue to do that, which will continue to create all these wild cognitive distortions in my head, because shining is very scary for my parts because of the narratives that they're saying. So I hope our courage and our bravery and our journeys will help every single listener that's tuning in today to this episode at least start to become more aware of, oh shit, yeah, I'm avoiding that, right? I shared with you, like, one journaling prompt that I had yesterday in my journal was, what is one difficult conversation that I'm avoiding and how can I prep for that? Unless you go and seek that which you're avoiding, you will always avoid it. Like, that's just facts. So go seek it. Go seek and ye shall find.
100%. I love this episode. Okay.
Fabulous.
What is your episode suggestion? Mine is 379. What is your go-to shame response?
Lego. Mine is 321. Motivation Monday. It's okay to not know.
Nice. All right, everybody. Thank you to every single person here who has stuck with us. Thank you for the newbies. Thank you for the longtime lovers, the longtime evolvers. This show is as successful as it is because of all of you, because of your dedication, because of your willingness to evolve, your desire to grow, your desire to get better. We couldn't do this without you, and we do all of this for you. So thank you to all of you. Cheers to all of you. And here is to the next 400. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.